Hello, and welcome to On Point. I'm Julia Alexander, and the topic of today's show is runaway TV and movie productions. These productions are filmed outside of Southern California, in other states, or even other countries. We'll examine the cause of this phenomenon and the impact of it. Today, our guests are Steve MacDonald, President of Film LA; Michael Ohoven, Academy Award nominated producer and CEO of Infinity Media; Steve Dahan, business agent for Teamsters Union Local 399; and Rob Ward, Senior Vice President of Inside Film Studios. From your perspective as the President of Film LA, how do you see this issue?
Well, runaway production is an issue. It's a serious issue, and I'll tell you why. That's basically because the entertainment industry in Los Angeles County represents about 240,000 jobs. And location production is the biggest portion of that, probably about 160,000 jobs according to the LA EDC, the Economic Development Corporation. So we're talking about a tremendous number of jobs, and most of these jobs are high-paying, middle-class jobs. And the other jurisdictions, other states, and other countries realize the importance of those jobs, and they're very aggressively courting production, television, feature film that you mentioned, and also commercial production. They're very much trying to get those jobs and that revenue to their jurisdictions.
All right. So, Michael, what's your take on runaway production?
Well, first of all, I'd love to film much more here. This is my home. This is where the dogs are and the wife is. So, and on top of it, there's a great talent pool and great locations. So, whenever possible, we would love to shoot here. But the truth is, in the independent world, which is becoming very, very crucial nowadays, making these last percentages of each production, is more and more we are forced to actually leave LA and even leave the US. A lot of our shows, and I made a little statistic of the last 20 films, features my company has produced. Unfortunately, 9 of them were in Canada, a couple of others were in Europe, and only 5 were actually in LA.
How is runaway production affecting union jobs?
It's definitely having an impact, a negative impact, because more and more films are leaving the state. Some of my members travel to distant location, but it's really a pretty small percentage, so it definitely has a hard impact. People are losing their homes, and a lot of people are moving to the states where filming is popular at the moment, New Mexico, Louisiana, to work in those places.
Rob, how do you view the situation?
I think it is very difficult. Some of the best craftspeople, the performers, everybody, the film industry was started here. It's grown here, and the people here are the most talented. This is the source, the best source. My company, however, is based in Vancouver, and Vancouver and all of Canada has initiated a terrific tax rebate and financial incentive to have production in Vancouver, which is where my company is, and in fact all of Canada. I've shot in Toronto as well, 20 years ago, just when it was beginning, and the dollar was 65 cents, for the Canadian dollar, so it went a long way. And the talent pool at that time wasn't quite as deep as it is now. Stephen Cannell put together a group up in Vancouver at about the same time, and it has grown and flourished there. And so now the talent pool there is extraordinary. We have we employ about 300 people full-time year-round. We've got a couple of sound stages, and it's the cost factor that has driven production, at least for us, up into Vancouver. The license fees for long-form movies, which is a disappearing genre except on cable. We're doing 30 of those this year, 30 movies, and they're all shot in Vancouver. And it's because the license fees are so low. Not only are they low, but the networks don't pay you until maybe a year and a half after it's broadcast. So you take the paper, the contract that you're given, and you go to the bank, and in our case, the Royal Bank of Canada, just thinks we're terrific, we're employing so many people, and the product that we're delivering seems to be working very, very well. So that's why, at least in our case, the productions are in Vancouver, out of LA.
Michael, what considerations do you make when deciding where to shoot?
First of all, it's money. I mean, we are anywhere in the $5 to $30 million league, basically, which is a small, low-budget, independent world, basically, of the feature world. And you have to finance your movie. So, first of all, we see where we can shoot it for the best price, and it's pretty easy for us nowadays to assess. Actually, if we make like a $15 million movie somewhere here in the region, I'm pretty confident to say I can probably shoot it somewhere in Canada, perhaps for 15 million Canadian, possibly even less than that. You have to add travel, obviously, and take into consideration traveling a couple of key people. But nevertheless, we can shoot it there, first of all, with the Canadian dollar, a little less expensive. And on top of it, then we get about 25, sometimes even higher off the budget in tax credits, tax rebates. Right now, we are prepping 2 movies that will go up to Manitoba, actually. Their incentive is extraordinary. It's in the middle of nowhere, basically, in Canada, but they have a great industry there right now. They have a couple of great locations there, a great studio, and we get 55% of the labor. So anything that we spend there on labor in Manitoba, we are getting actually as a tax credits, and that makes the movie at the end.
What proposals does the union have to deal with this issue?
Well, the union, the Teamsters, we have low-budget rates that we've incorporated now that are 23% less than the basic feature rates that we have. So you can work longer hours with less overtime. There's no vacation and holiday pay. People are working for at least 15 or 16% less than the current rates. So those are some of the things that the unions, that our union is doing to keep productions in Hollywood. The other part is obviously you can't compete, though. I mean, I've heard from producers that even if we worked for free, that the incentives that they're getting are so great.
I don't know, free is good.
Free is good. I'm sure you would appreciate free. But what I'm saying is that with a 55% tax credit, there's nothing that we can do, the union itself, even by cutting our rates, we still can't be competitive with those kinds of incentives.
I think it's fair to say, besides I always want to keep the unions happy.
Well, thank
you. The truth is, I mean, we shot union shows in LA, and we made great experience with all the unions, by the way, with Teamsters. And so it's not the unions ultimately. I think the key will be, and I think Schwarzenegger tried it, will be tax rebates in California itself. And you don't have to travel as far as Manitoba or Saskatchewan or British Columbia, where Vancouver is. But also if you go to Louisiana or New Mexico, each of these states have implemented a really great system right now. And unfortunately, California is at the back of the bus right now. So I think it needs to be changed.
The governor has a Hollywood background. Has he been helpful in dealing with this issue?
Well, there's been a couple of attempts since he's been there to get this through, and hopefully there'll be another one. They've been unsuccessful. I think part of the problem is people see, other legislators in different parts of the state see this as a Hollywood or a Los Angeles issue. And so it's been hard to get a wide variety of people from throughout the state to recognize that it's not just something about benefiting Los Angeles or the region. Even if most of the filming, which would take place here, there's still an impact, a positive impact to the state. An average size feature now is approximately $60 to $70 million. And there's been a study that was done by the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation that shows that on an average size feature of, say, $70 million, the impact to the state coffers is $10 million in tax revenue. The majority of that is income tax, because as Steve has mentioned, very few of his members will go when a production leaves the state. And what that means is lost income tax primarily to the state.
So can you tell me more about the competition that you're facing from other states or countries?